What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Eddie D. Williams. You are listening to and watching the Just Talking About podcast, presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of the Affinity Theory and Echoes, my adult superhero romance thriller saga, The Affinity Saga. Kind of a somber day today on the podcast as we are talking about Charlie Kirk on today. I don't know what else to do in terms of putting the intro up there except to say that's what we're going to be talking about today in light of a lot of other things that have happened throughout this week too. And so just going to jump right into it today. Again, welcome to the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D. Williams, presented by Rebirth Publishings. We're going to be talking about Charlie Kirk on today. I've been watching and looking at the posts in the news cycle these past 24 hours, and it's all been Charlie Kirk all these past 24 hours. As you all know, Charlie Kirk was gunned down, sniper's bullet, on yesterday, and he succumbed to his injuries. Shooter still at large. No one knows where he is. They thought they had somebody, a suspect, in custody, but they since let him go. And as I always say, the ability to have nuance is lost among our population. You either got to be on one side or the other, and there's no room for nuance whatsoever. Well, I'm going to be the voice of nuance. And you guys, again, as I always say, take it how you will. I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm just here to provide nuance because I feel like talking about it. That's what I'm going to talk about. I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was until yesterday. I don't really pay attention to these things. I don't really pay attention to a lot of what goes on in those conservative talking spaces. So I didn't have a clue who Charlie Kirk was. I'd heard his name kind of get floated around every now and then, but I really had no clue who this dude was at all. I didn't know what his purpose was, what he did for a living, none of that stuff. I just, every now and then I see somebody say they don't want to have him at the college or whatever, protest and stuff like that. Figured he was a Trump supporter and all that kind of stuff. But I just take it with a grain of salt. I don't really know this man from Adam. I don't know who this man is. And so when I see my feeds yesterday lit up about Charlie Kirk having been gunned down, I was like, wow, what is this about? And so going and reading and seeing that what had happened, I'm like, why him? What's so special about him that people wanted to gun him down? And now that I'm reading and seeing all the stuff that he's been talking about and all the things he done spewed and all the things he done said for the past umpteen years and everything, ever since he came onto the scene or whatever, I was like, oh, okay. Somebody might be a little mad at this man, and they decided to take some anger out on this dude. Okay, all right, I get it. And the more I start to see the feeds, the more I start to see a lot of what this man has said to a lot of people, about a lot of people, to a lot of people, and about a lot of people. And this man, if he wasn't acting, This man had some very, very, very dark views on humanity. And no matter how many outs people tried to give this man, he would double down on how he felt about these things. And so as I'm looking and reading these feeds and seeing the feeds, the divide is clear. You got the Christians on one hand who are trying to be neutral about it, saying that, it's not condoned. Anybody be gunned down by violence because of the things that they say. And we mourn for his loss, for the loss. And hatred is not appreciated anywhere. And then on the evangelical side, dare I say the MAGA side, they are championing him as an American hero. He's one of the good guys. It's like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, You got your politicians who are saying that this is a political assassination and this is not appropriate. You should be able to have your free thinking, be able to say what you want to say, and not have to suffer violence for these things, fearful that at some point they're going to, they have the potential now to suffer a similar fate. And then you got every minority group on the planet who is treating this situation, I'm calling it like I see it, treating this situation like the Wicked Witch of the West is dead. And are up in arms with anybody who don't see it that way. And so, again, here I am I'm looking at all this. And here are the ballyhoo of thoughts that I have about everything that I've seen, witnessed, and take it for what you will. As I always say, you are free to think how you want to think, feel how you want to feel. But here it is. Here are my thoughts, and I think this is what this whole episode is just going to be dedicated to today. As a black man, to see the things that Charlie Kirk said for at least a decade, if not more, my mind and my heart are just like, wow. Wow. Like, everything that you stood for came full circle. It's specifically, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't have the quote in front of me, but specifically when he said that having a few deaths by guns is necessary, unfortunately, but necessary in order to keep the Second Amendment intact. All I could think was self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Because You did all of this talking about all of this hatred spewing at every person that doesn't look like you. And championed violence as a necessary evil to keeping something alive, when it's been clear, research upon research, that it doesn't require what you think it requires in order for gun control to be put in place, that you can have gun control and the Second Amendment still be fully applied. You have both at the same time. It's been proven you can have both. Stricter gun laws and you still keep your guns. And this is what we have been trying to prevent. This is what we've been trying to prevent. And it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. We have to be so careful what we put out there. Power of death and life really does lie in the tongue. And though I'm not one who believes in all the, like, you got to speak those things as though they're not, I don't really ascribe to that. There is something to be said about if you carry that kind of energy, best believe it's going to come back around at some point. And that's what happened in this situation. The very thing that we've been trying to prevent, the very thing that he advocated for, he became a victim of. And it's like, I want to say something, I want to say what I want to say, we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you, and this is, you advocated for this. You advocated for people to carry however they want to, whenever they want to. No qualms about it. And got what came. Now, as a believer, I carry the heart of Christ as best as I can. I'm not perfect. I carry the heart of Christ as best as I can. And I desire the same thing that Christ desires, that none should perish and all should come to repentance. I don't know this man's relationship with God. I have no dog in that fight, heaven or hell. No dog in that fight. But I do know that the tree is known by the fruit that it bears. And the fruit that homie was bearing, Mr. Kirk was bearing, it wasn't fruity. It was rotten. A lot of rotten fruit. And this man doubled down on the rotten fruit that he bore. Again, we'll have a dog in the fight. Whether he in or out of the kingdom, that's between him and God. But the tree is known by the fruit that it bears. So it concerns me. It concerns me how people are championing him. Christians are championing him. I don't desire that anyone perish, especially at the hands of something as heinous as this. And so I don't feel good about what happened to him. And I say that because if it can happen to him, it can happen to any of us. So I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that at all. And ain't nothing anybody can say to make me feel otherwise. I do not feel good that he was gunned down. I do not feel good about that. Because again, if it can happen to him, it can happen to any of us. I don't like it. I wish it upon no one. And so I feel for his wife. I feel for his kids. They have lost a husband. They have lost a father. I feel bad about that. I think anybody, in you measure of salt, would feel that way for the wife and the kids. They've lost a husband, lost a father. Lost a husband, lost a father. I think, heaven forbid anything ever happened to me, I would hope that y'all feel bad for my kids and my wife, that they've lost a husband and a father. And for us to champion this man as if he is a bastion for the faith. The tree is known by the fruit that it bears. How are we lifting this man up? And when I say we, I'm definitely not including me in this, but we as a collective, just thinking this through. How can we as believers lift this man up to be a bastion of faith? Bastion of faith, when the fruit that he bore was everything that Christ hated. Everything that Christ hated. It's always interesting how sympathetic we want to be with people who have spent their entire lives hating the marginalized, hating the ostracized, hating the criticized, not lifting them up, but pushing them down. And now suddenly, when, again, self-fulfilling prophecy, now we're lifting him up as if he's a hero, when all he's done is perpetuate the very violence that was inflicted upon himself, that was inflicted on him. But we're now lifting him up as if he's this great hero. What did he do that was so heroic to where we now got to lift him up as a martyr? That's what some people want to call this man, a martyr. For what? For what? Again, as a believer, I don't wish anyone to perish, but that all come to repentance. And I also know that some of us are going to be instruments of God's wrath and not his grace because of the choices that we make. Because we're not going to be forced into the kingdom. We're going to be given a choice. And with that choice, if we choose to say yes to Jesus, we got to die to ourselves, die to our agenda, die to our desires, die to our way. We cannot claim Christ and the devil too. It just don't work that way. That's not how the kingdom works. And so we can't, on one hand, say we love Jesus, but then we out here spewing hatred and vitriol for a profit. Because let's say that those aren't really his views. He loves money, and the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And so he can say he loved Jesus all day long, but it's clear who his God really was. Because like a lot of these pundits out here, whether conservative or liberal, they do this stuff, a lot of them, for money, and they don't really believe half the stuff that they're saying. But because it's getting them ratings, and because it's getting them dollars, and it's getting them endorsements, it's getting them to be able to sit in the seats of power and rub elbows up against the powerful and mighty, they'll say whatever they need to say and double down on those things so that way they can keep the money flowing. But we lifted him up as a bastion of the faith. Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? It's clear why we're doing it. Clear why some in the Christian space are doing that. It's clear. Because they believe everything that this man believes in. They believe in the God that this man believes in. He's not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they believe in a God. And so it baffles my mind that we've lifted up Charlie Kirk as if he's this great human being who deserves all of our sympathies. He was just saying some stuff. Yeah, he was saying a lot of stuff. He was saying a lot of stuff. And a lot of that stuff has perpetuated violence among a lot of people as a result. He may not have been the one who had the, who had the trigger in his hand, but you best believe he was very instrumental in indoctrinating a bevy of people who felt the same way he felt. He just had the biggest microphone. He just had the biggest platform. And they right there amening him. I promise you, there's somebody in some pulpit right now who's saying they need to be more like Charlie Kirk come Sunday. Let's believe that. And it's a sad day when this is who we're lifting up as our heroes. And we want everybody to have all the sympathy in the world for these folk. But you have kids who died at the hands of gun violence, not even an hour after. Last week, you had kids that died at the hands of gun violence as they were praying. You had a politician, her husband, and a dog that were killed senselessly at the hands of someone who definitely targeted them for political reasons. And let's not even get on Tamir Rice, George Floyd, Sandra Bland, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile. Should I go on? We pick and choose when we want to have sympathy. Or rather, should I say, the masses pick and choose when we should have sympathy. It's interesting that Representative Boebert, I hope I said the name right, I don't know if I said the name right, wanted to get upset with Speaker Mike Johnson for not saying an outright prayer for Charlie Kirk, but not once mentioned the kids that died at the school, kids who died last week. So you all up in arms about Charlie Kirk, but where's the same energy for the kids? It's all right when it's kids, but it's Charlie Kirk though. Oh, it's Charlie Kirk. We want to bring down the flags half-mast for Charlie Kirk, who is not a politician, did not a thing of elected official title status whatsoever. College dropout who went on tour. We want to bring the flag half-mast. But the kids that died at the school, the kids got gunned down at school. Nothing for them. Nothing for them. No moment of silence, no prayer, no reforms. The Charlie Kirk, though. Let's do it for Charlie Kirk. Which goes to show you who these people's heroes really are. Who these people really care about. Who represents them. And so, laying that to the side, I want to talk to my Christian brothers and sisters today. Because more and more, and let me think this out loud. Let me think this out loud. Because I have to remember, and I've always got to say this with a caveat. I have to remember, we have to remember, this is all nuanced, right? There are 200 million people in America, if not 300 million people in America. So when we get on these platforms and we see these things that are being said, I have to remember that out of 200, 300 million people, there's only about maybe 30,000 people on the platforms that are actually saying stuff. The rest of the majority of the people that are on these platforms, they're just reading what's being said. They may not say anything. They may not like it. They may not comment, but they just see it. And so, though I want to get upset, I have to remember that what we see in our social media feeds in particular is a very, very, very tiny microcosm compared to the whole. And what do I mean by that? Though a lot of people may have an opinion about something, just because they are making a lot of noise doesn't mean that they speak for everyone. And so I'm saying that to catch myself even in this moment, because everybody that I see who is saying something to the effect of, I now see who I should be following based upon how they're responding to this situation. It pains me to see that these are Christians saying this. Because while, yes, again, we should not be championing this guy. This guy was terrible. Call a spade a spade. This man was terrible. He was terrible. For the love of money, he was terrible. Okay. Great husband, father, great, awesome. He was greedy. He was greedy. Views or no views, he was greedy. Had a big mouth. People love to have him on. Ratings get boosted. He was greedy. Whether he really believed the stuff or not, he was greedy. He was not a great person. Terrible person. Okay? Terrible person. Put money before people. He was a terrible person. But for you to disown people, for Christians to disown your own Christians because you feel sorry that the man is gone, like, we as the Christians, see what you did, Jesus. There's a piece of scripture. God, man, I wish I had my Bible on me. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna press pause because I'm finna go get my Bible. I'm gonna go press pause. Okay, I am back. I'm gonna go get my Bible. Bible on my tablet. Let's see. Let me see. Where is that? Okay. In Luke chapter 10, from 17 to 20, this is what Jesus said. The 72 returned with joy, saying, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. Part of what Jesus was saying in that is, yes, we definitely should feel, a sense of, ding dong, the witch is dead. That's going to naturally happen. Anytime evil is overcome with good, or the bad guys lose, the good guys win, you're going to feel that, right? And as the believer, we should be more concerned about whether or not his soul is in the kingdom. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for the believers, our concern should not be, yay, he's no longer here. Our concern should be, did he give his life to Jesus? And it's because peace on earth is not as important as peace with God. You better come on, Jesus. Peace on earth is not as important as peace with God. Not for the believers. Not for the believers. It should not have come to this for now people to start making sense and trying to make peace on earth. It should not have come to this. We should not be rejoicing in this. One less person, yes, is on the airwaves talking all this rhetoric and what have you, but the rhetoric ain't going away. Somebody else is going to end up taking this man's place. Is going to end up being just as big, if not bigger than him. Is you cut off one head, two more rise in its place. Hey, Hail Hydra. Come on now. Know how this works. And so somebody else is going to end up taking his place tomorrow. We should not be rejoicing, not as the believers, in this. Rather, we should be concerned, is he in the kingdom? Did he make it in the kingdom? And that's not just with him, that's with everybody. Jesus was not playing when he said, love your enemies and pray for those who spitefully use you. He's not playing about that. We only want to pray for our friends. Pray for people who believe like us. Pray for people who think like us. Pray for people who act like us. We don't want to pray for our enemies. We want our enemies to suffer violence. We want our enemies to feel the wrath. We want them to be crucified. We want grace for us, but we want wrath for them. The kingdom doesn't work like that. And if that's the kingdom you think you signed up for, I'm here to tell you that is not the kingdom you signed up for. Even Jesus himself has sympathy for the devil because he knows the devil's end is destruction. And he doesn't wish that for anybody in the natural and the divine order. He doesn't wish that for anybody. We're not out here rejoicing saying, yeah, the devil gonna get his. No, he's in mourning for that because he doesn't want Satan to meet that end. He will meet that end, but he doesn't want him to meet that end. We as the believers should not be out here, yeah, he's gone. Charlie Kirk is gone. No, that should not be our position. Our position should be, is he in the kingdom? Our position should be, it shouldn't have taken this for people to wake up. But if God has to use this for a way to get people to wake up, then so be it. People online saying it's making me see who I need to be following, who I need to be unfollowing. The question you should be asking yourself is, look in the mirror. Are you truly carrying the cross? Or is the cross simply a matter of convenience? See, I was just talking to a client earlier today, and I told this client that even doing the will of God can become idolatrous. When you think that your will is his will, when he's trying to turn you in a different direction. You can be doing for God, but not have a relationship with him. Because he can use a donkey to do his will. What make you think he can't use you? But he can do that. We can still not have a relationship with him. You could be worshiping God to some other end. And that end is really what you're worshiping. And you're just using God to get to that. And so again, I find it just very strange. Though I'm not surprised that you have a lot of Christians who are upset with Christians who have the heart of God in saying, I don't wish this on nobody. I don't care what side you're on. I don't wish this on nobody. I don't wish this on anyone. I wish for repentance. I wish for salvation. I wish to see sanctification in the fruit being born. That's why I said, I don't have a heaven or a hell to put Charlie Kirk in, but the tree is known by the fruit that it bears. I'm not convinced that he's in the kingdom. I'm not convinced. I don't know, but I'm not convinced. Because the fruit ain't fruity. The fruit was rotten. So again, we as the believers, we can't tell the difference between the fools and the not fools because of how we acting. I'm just unfollow anybody that doesn't think like I think. I'm gonna unfollow anybody who doesn't feel like I feel. I'm gonna unfollow anybody who has any sympathy for him. What if Jesus unfollowed you? Is this the same Christ we say we serve? I don't like how she think, so I'm not gonna give her any grace. I don't like what he did last week. I'm not gonna give him any grace. I'm not saying we gotta fall out for the guy. I'm just simply saying our concern should be, did he make it into the kingdom? That's because we believers, right? Okay, you got sympathy for him. I'm unfollowing. I'm blocking you. What does that say about you? Because you're the one saying that you're a believer. You're the one saying that Christ is who you serve and who you follow. If that's the case, are we not to love our enemies and to pray for them? Pray that their souls be saved? Not ding dong, the witch is dead. Again, this is the God we say we serve, right? But what do I know? I'm just a believer. Again, in no way am I saying this dude was a good dude. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. Okay? Terrible. I call it like I see it. He was terrible. All I'm saying is, if you have believers who are giving you the nuance of he's still a human being, no matter how terrible he was, he did not deserve that type of that type of vitriol that was given to him, self-fulfilling prophecy and all. You guys can see one of my posts right now talking about the day is completely unjustified, like unnecessary. But can we carry that nuance? That terrible person, self-fulfilling prophecy, but it still shouldn't have happened. And I can feel sorry for the wife and the kid who's now missing a dad that they loved. It's not like they hated man, they loved him. So now they got a daddy and a husband they ain't not gonna have no more. I can feel bad for that. And as a believer, pray that his soul made it into the kingdom. But if not, may his death be a flashpoint to help someone else realize the error of their ways. Because words matter. Which brings me to my next point. At some point, we got to get back to the place where we realize that our words really do matter. Our words really do carry weight. We act as though our actions have no consequences whatsoever. We get on these social media platforms, we get on these podcasts, we get on these space, we get in these spaces, and we act as if, I can just say whatever I want to say, and no one should have anything should be bothered by it because it's free speech. It's a free country. I can do what I want to do, say what I want to say, feel how I want to feel. And you're right. You do have the right to say whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, whenever you want to say it to whomever you want to say it to. And there are consequences for what you say and what you do, whether you want them or not. One of the first podcasts I did on this show was talking about the fact that you got to be careful what you post. And you got to live with the consequences that come with it. Now, yes, some people need to stop being keyboard warriors and get out of other people's feeds and just keep on scrolling. But anytime you enter into this public space, even now, the nervousness I feel of putting this podcast out today, you open yourself up to the public. There will be consequences for that. There were people who got on me because they was like, I can't believe that Nadia Cole 4, you on her side. I'm never going to read your book. Okay, that's about 5 or 10 sales that I'm probably never going to get ever because heaven forbid I sided with somebody that they didn't like. That's the consequence that comes with choosing a side. There are consequences for our actions, whether we want them or not. And Charlie Kirk, you decided this was the path of life that you were going to choose. And you said what you wanted to say, when you wanted to say it, how you wanted to say it, with whoever you said it with, no matter how many outs you were given, no matter how many chances you were given to change, no matter how many times you had the opportunity to think with an open mind, you doubled, triple, quadruple, quintupled down on everything you thought, on every show you went on, every rally you went to, every opportunity you had to speak at a college event. You double, triple, quadruple down on every single thing. And somebody said bet. And took you up on your self-fulfilling prophecy. actions have consequences. And this is why a lot of your politicians are scared now. Because whether you're on one side or the other, these past few months, this past year has been indicative of an increase in violence. Nepal just overthrew their government earlier this week. They said, we done, we tired. And they went and went Jack Ryan on them. People are getting tired. And you keep spewing what you spewing. Eventually, somebody is going to be bold enough to try. Whatever your affiliations, whatever your motivations, be careful. They asked AOC yesterday whether she feels some type of way now about speaking in public and stuff, and she was like, "There's a bit of concern." Take with that what you will. They tried it with Donald Trump last year. Conspiracy theories be damned. They tried it with him last year. This just happened yesterday. Actions have consequences. And our biggest concern now is whether or not this is going to spark something worse. So I would venture to say, take care of yourselves, protect yourselves, love yourselves, stay vigilant, keep your eyes open, and it would do us well to treat each other with more kindness. And just speaking as a whole, I know we, in our microcosms are doing that, but it would behoove us to treat each other a little more kind, a little kinder. But we already know you got people already gearing up. And yesterday was their flashpoint. And so I would just say, be mindful. Just be mindful. Your words carry weight. And your actions, even if you're just saying something, has consequences. I'm not going to knock anybody for feeling good about the fact that someone who was so hateful and so vile is no longer here. I'm not going to hate anybody for that. As believers, we have a responsibility to look at the bigger picture and be able to convey that in a way, so that people can see the difference between the darkness and the light. But that's my argument for my folk, my Christian people. But I'm not going to sit here and be mad at anybody for feeling the way that they feel about this situation, because the man said a lot of nasty things. But at the end of the day, our actions have consequences. Are we prepared to deal with the backlash that comes with the decisions that we make? Or at the end of the day, if you decide to align with a certain way of being, Are you prepared to see it to the end? Charlie Kirk, may he rest. Where exactly is all dependent upon God. And may we see yesterday as an opportunity to make a shift. But like we always find out, it's Charlie Kirk today. I am hungry. My stomach is telling on me. Charlie Kirk today. The kid, several kids, hours later, and the wheels just keep on turning. Like I always say, you can't see the good, be the good. Because you never know who's watching and paying attention to you and then making a decision off of what you say. That's going to do it for me today, guys, here on the Just Talk About podcast with your boy Eddie D right here on the various platforms of social media. We are certainly grateful and thankful to each and every one of you who have thought it not robbery to spend just a little bit of time with your boy today. We are sponsored by Rebirth Publishing, the publishing arm of my adult superhero romance thriller saga, The Affinity Saga, with book 1, the 3-time award-winning Affinity Theory, and Echoes, available in the Affinity Saga store by going to www.theaffinitysaga.com, where you can get all of our books and our merch in their various formats. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm certainly grateful to have this opportunity to be able to share this with y'all on today. As I always say, you can't see the good, be the good. I love you guys. Peace out, homies.